Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I won't babysit for free anymore? I, 17M, was an only child for the first 13 years of my life. My parents struggled for years to have more kids after me, and I knew about it from a very young age, probably way younger than I should have. They didn't try to hide it. In fact, my earliest memories of family gatherings include hearing my parents tell relatives, friends, and basically anyone who asked that they were still hoping for another, or that they just didn't feel complete yet. Sometimes they'd phrase it like a sweet wish. We just want one more to make our family feel whole. Other times it was blunt. It doesn't feel like a real family yet. And every time I heard those words, no matter how casually they were said, it felt like a little confirmation that I was somehow not enough. I wasn't the child they wanted. I was the first child, the trial run before the real family could start. My grandparents, my mom's parents, noticed it, too. I still remember being maybe 7 years old, hiding just out of sight in the hallway while my grandparents told my parents, "You're going to make him feel like he's not enough if you keep saying that." My parents brushed it off, laughing and saying, "Oh, he knows we love him." Yeah, I did know they loved me. But love doesn't cancel out the feeling of being a placeholder. When I was 9, they started looking into fertility treatments. They told me about it, but instead of explaining in a way that helped me understand what was coming, my dad basically said, "Your mom might be more stressed and emotional, so be gentle with her." Looking back, that's when it started, the quiet shifting of responsibility onto me. I became the peacekeeper, the one who had to be understanding and mature for my age. If mom was upset, I was expected to adapt. If dad was stressed about money from treatments, I was supposed to not add to it. By the time I was 11, they moved on to IVF. Each failed cycle made the air in the house heavier. They'd both be quiet, tense, and I'd tiptoe around just to avoid making anything worse. Then, when I was 13, it worked. My little sister was born. That's when everything shifted, and not in the magical, picture-perfect way people imagine when a miracle baby arrives. We suddenly needed a bigger house. My mom quit her job to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. My bedroom, the biggest after my parents', was given to my sister because she needs space for all her toys and things. I was moved into the smallest room, barely big enough for my bed, desk, and dresser. My friends stopped coming over for sleepovers because the baby needs quiet. If I wanted to watch a movie, I had to use headphones so I wouldn't wake her up. My parents' world became entirely centered around the baby, and I got whatever attention or space was left over. And then, almost like a cruel joke, my mom got pregnant naturally. Twice. No treatments. No planning. Just surprise. By the time I was 16, I had 3 younger siblings, all under the age of 5, 2 sisters and 1 brother. At first, babysitting was occasional, a couple of hours for date night once every few months. But after my brother was born, it became constant. First it was evenings, then afternoons, then entire days. Sometimes my parents would say, "We're just running errands," and then vanish for 6 or 7 hours. If I called because one of the toddlers was inconsolable, I'd get, "Figure it out, you're fine." But if I forgot to text them the second one of the kids sneezed, I'd get 10 missed calls and 15 texts asking for updates. And it wasn't just babysitting. It was cooking for them, feeding them, changing diapers, bathing them, cleaning up their messes, and rocking them to sleep when my mom was too tired, which was often. One specific day is burned into my brain. I came home after a long day at school, carrying my backpack, still in my shoes, when my dad handed me the baby without a word and walked off. My mom was on the couch scrolling her phone. I stood there, holding my baby brother, still in my jacket, wondering if anyone was going to ask me how my day was. The emotional manipulation was constant, too. If I said I had homework, I was told I was selfish or choosing school over family. If I got frustrated, they'd say, "You're the big brother. They look up to you. You can't act like that." Basically, I wasn't allowed to have feelings unless they were patient, calm, and convenient for my parents. When I finally got my first job at a cafe, I thought maybe this would be my escape. I'd be out of the house more, have my own money, and they'd have to find someone else to babysit. But the first thing my mom said was, "When are you going to have time for family?" Which was code for, "When are you going to babysit?" My dad even suggested I keep Saturday nights free, just in case we want to go out. That was it. I told them, no more free babysitting. I told them I'm their son, not their live-in nanny. I said I'd help in actual emergencies, but if they wanted me to regularly give up my time, they'd have to pay me like they would any other sitter. They did not take it well. My mom said I was making demands and that I should talk to them like an adult. I told her that adults don't work for free, and if they wanted me to be more adult, they should start respecting my time. My dad got defensive and said they'd done so much for me and I should be grateful. They even called my grandparents to complain, thinking they'd side with them. Instead, my grandparents backed me up, saying I had every right to set boundaries. That made my parents even angrier. Now, the house feels like a Cold War. Sometimes I pack a bag and stay with my grandparents just to get some space. My parents either guilt trip me into staying or barely notice I'm gone because they're so wrapped up in the babies. Yes, they still call them that even though the oldest is almost 5. The only time they really focus on each other is during date nights, which, funny enough, always happen at the exact times they expect me to be available. They think I'm selfish. I think I'm finally setting the boundaries I should have set years ago. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit for free anymore?